Alright, so in this video we will talk about if statements. Going back to understanding what programming languages really do. The idea is to create instructions for the computer or devices so that manipulates data, has if statements and conditional statements and so forth, so that we have then a result, right? So that's the whole idea behind creating applications. You have instructions for the computer to do. Okay, so as we have these instructions work on data or variables or information that we manipulate to create something else or result. Okay, in this case here, as you see, we have first num, second num. What is the result? The result is the remainder in this case. Okay. Now, just to organize things here, the other thing we could do just to make things a little bit clearer or cleaner, we could have said double result. All right, and we're going to give it a 0 because we need to instantiate or initialize any variable in Java. Okay, so this result variable is going to hold the result that we get from operating on 2. So in this case here, what we're going to do, we're going to say result is equal to first num percentage second num. Okay, now that we have the result stored in our result variable, we can just copy that, and in this case we can just pass the result there. And check this out, now we don't have to have the parentheses there because it's just the result that has been already cached or created here. Okay, result there. Okay, so if we save this, we should get the remainder is 1. So this was just to kind of clean things up. Back to what we are going to talk about here is the if statement. So going back to what I was saying, so if statements allow us to create this conditional programming, right? Because the idea is to have, okay, if this happens or if this condition is met, then I want the code to do this or to run this piece of code. The idea behind building applications or programming is the ability for the computer programs to make decisions, right? Decision making. Okay, so that's the core of what it is to program. We need to learn how to make those decisions. They're called if statements. Let's go ahead here and organize, say, if statements. Okay. Now, if we talk about if statements, we have to talk about what we call relational operators. So for if statements to work, we need to relate two variables so that we have a result, meaning that if we're saying we want to say if this happens or if this condition is met, this has to happen. Well, this condition that we're talking about here, it has to somehow be a relational operation. So we're relating two items to see if they're true sometimes, or if they're greater than one another, or any other relation that we are trying to operate on, we're trying to figure out, we're trying to get a result of. Okay, so for instance, we could say if 34 is greater than the variable b, which we don't know yet or which we've given 54, then we want this to display. An if statement is constructed as follows. You say if, and there we go, there is if in our code I'm guessing here. So if you put enter, right, so that just means that you now have to put this statement inside here, expression as they call is expected inside the parentheses. So you say if, for instance, I say first num is equal, double equal here, it's not it's comparing, it's a comparison relational operator, which we'll talk about in a second here. If that is equal to second num, then we have to complete our expression. So we put all in parentheses, right? We put all in squiggly brackets. Okay, here. This means that whatever it's inside here, it's going to run if this statement is indeed true. Well, let's see what we want to run. We can this and put inside here. So we're going to say if those numbers are the same, then we're going to just print out the remainder. Let's see, let's run this. It ran, but nothing is showing. The reason why, you probably have guessed right now, is because, well, first num is not equal to second, which means 10 is definitely not equal to 3. Therefore, whatever's inside here, it's not running. It won't ever run. If this statement here returns true, again, we'll go back to that Boolean, because if statement will always return a Boolean, which means either true or false. If that is true, if the condition is met, then indeed this will show. Since the condition is not true, so it's negative or is false or is 0, then we see nothing showing here as result. So the remainder is result, doesn't show here anymore. Okay? So which means now here, which goes back to the idea that we have now relational operators go like this. We've now learned the first relational operator, which is the equal operator. So that's not, and as this is not an assignment sign, this is not assignment, this is not the equal that we use to assign variable. This is double equal, which whenever you see, that means we are comparing the two items, the two variables here. It's comparison. Okay, that's a comparison. It's not assignment. So now the beauty about if statements is that you can also attach what they call else. Okay, again, it goes back to the English language, right? If this happens, do this. Else, which means in other case, opposite to the case that I'm trying to look for here to be true, then I want to do this other thing. Well, we can do that also with if. Now you can say else, you have to attach it to the end of this squiggly bracket that's closing here, right? And then inside here you can say system.out.print ln hello for now. Okay, let's run this. We should see hello. It says hello there. Okay, so now you have this decision making tree happening here, which is very crucial. So now you have other possibilities of things you can do with your code, because now you've learned about the equal relational operator. The second one we're going to learn about is going to be not equal. So not equal is the exclamation mark and put equal. That's the not equal. So anytime you see the exclamation mark in computing, in programming, that means not. So if you were to read this, right, it will be not equal. So now what we can do, we can say, well, we want this to happen. First number, if first number is not equal to second number, then we want to print this. Else, we want to say numbers aren't equal. And save. Let's run, and we should see remainder is 1.0. Alright, so you learn about not equal. Okay, we are on a roll here. We can do this. The next one we're going to learn about is the greater than. Oops, greater than. So this is greater than. We've learned that. So now we can change here. We can say if first num is greater than second num, we want this to run, else this will run. Let's save this and run. Let's see if it's going to happen. Well, indeed, because 10, right, is greater than second num, which is 3. Which incidentally, this is going to be the less than, right? So now we're saying first num is less than second num. If this is true, then this should run. Let's save. It shouldn't run. It should say numbers aren't equal or greater in this case. Okay, so there we go. So we are moving forward here. Let's go to next one we're going to learn is the less than, which it's going to be the greater than or equal. So it's going to be greater than or equal. Greater than or equal. There we go. Guessed it. So let's go ahead and say greater than or equal. If first name is greater than or equal than second, let's save and see if that's going to happen. What's going to happen? Yep, it's going to run. Right? This statement here will run because indeed first num is either greater or equal to the second number. In this case, it's greater, so it's going to just say, oh, it's true. Well, not too bad. Okay, how about the next one? Let's see, less than or equal. How do you do that? Let's see. What do you think is going to happen? Less than or equal? Let's see. Let's save this. Run. Numbers aren't equal. Okay. Of course, we should change the wording here, but you get the idea, right? It's all about what will display and what won't, or what will run and what won't run. Okay, so first num is not less than or equal second num. So right here, so we have less than or equal, sorry, less than or equal. And here it's not then, there we go. Perfect. You probably saw that in with scringing. Okay, perfect. So there we go. With this knowledge, with these relational operators, now you have a lot of power to do a lot of damage, per se. So go ahead and play around with this concept, okay? Create different variables and compare them. Use these relational operators that we just learned so that you can understand even better. Okay, remember, you can't break anything, right? Well, in this case, you can, but at least the more you break, the more you learn. Okay, that's a good slogan. I think I should keep that one. All right, so thank you, and I'll see you in the next video.